Good evening, everyone. My name is Abhishek Chanda. I'm a professor of economics here in India. We have gathered here today to discuss the book by Ms. Kamlesh Kapur, Partition, a Legacy of M.K. Gandhi. So this is the second meeting of this series. The first one we had previously was on the book itself. Today we will be discussing certain chapters, certain parts of the book in more depth. So over to you, ma'am.
Okay, I'll find the uh, okay. All right. Namaste, everyone. Um, this is the second part, and it is the decade after Jallianwala Bagh. But I will talk about Jallianwala Bagh as well, because that shaped quite a few things for the rest of the almost 8 decades, and it is still impacting. So the topic is the decade that sealed India's fate. And why I wrote it that? Because in these 15 years, whatever Gandhi was going to do, or whatever his focus was or agenda was, whatever his approach was, that was extremely clear cut in these 15 years. And in the next 10 years, the same thing happened, continued. The events, his reaction the same. In the 40s, turbulence, his reaction the same. So we are going to see how it was impacted, how India was impacted by this decade. So let's see. Briefly, I wanted to go over the history of um, Congress Party. It is essential because originally it was meant to be just a club where everybody would be talking, the English people and some Indians, intellectuals, would be participating and talking about India's future and what kind of freedom, how much self-rule they want. And most of the members were Englishmen. They were called, it was a theosophic society. So probably it was linked with some kind of religious Christianity, Christian group. And then two members who were extremely, I should say, stalwarts, they were Surendranath Banerjee and Dadabhai Naoroji. And what exactly they were looking at that point was more representation in the and self-rule at the provincial level and more rights for the people. So this is how it started, and this was the broad purpose. Of course, there were people who wanted complete independence, and there was quite a lot of divergence between what the members of the group wanted. For example, there were some groups who wanted to be really taking it like a battle, a militant fight, or fight with any means, because it's a fight. And it needn't be just the words, that won't work. But many of the members were like on the fence, this way or that way. That continued with the Congress Party all through the following years. In the meantime, Muslim League started somewhere in 1905, and their members were also part of the Congress Party. Some were not, but some of them were. And this is how the whole first decade of the 20th century was. The scenario was that Congress started the movement or joined the movement, not started, sorry. The movement had already started in 1857, And it continued one way or the other by fringe groups, small groups, mostly from Bengal. And then there were magazines and newspapers which used to give articles about demand for freedom and self-rule. And then you see the Muslims started the league. And then in 1905 to 1911, surprisingly, there was demand for fighting for freedom. And it was called, there was a news letter which used to come, block printing. And this was surprisingly from Canada and west coast of United States. And the name of the newsletter was Gadar Ki Goonj. I gave the picture of that that first letter where they showed the chains around the hands of the Indians. And that was pretty, just that much was pretty encouraging people to do something, whatever it is to be done. And then there was a vacuum. Tilak died in 1923. Savarkar left the scene. He was arrested, I think, 1911, and he was sent to Kalepani, which was exiled to Andaman, in very severe, harsh labor imprisonment, solitary confinement. And now, who were the members of the Congress party left? They were all like, except Lala Lajpat Rai and Tilak. There weren't like stalwarts who were in the forefront. And that is when Gandhi arrived. And by 1920, he filled the vacuum. Now let's go back a little bit to 1919, what was going on and how oblivious was the Congress party or any of those Indian freedom fighters about the current actions or the day-to-day rules which were circulated by the British government. And that is why the massacre became such a horrific event. So what happened was, the background was that there was after the war was over, Rowlatt Act was passed, and that act was that more than 5 people cannot assemble, and they'll be arrested. Now, people in the villages who come on Vaisakhi, 13th of April, to Jallianwala Bagh to celebrate, and they are thousands in number, they are not aware of this curfew or about this order of assembly and everything. And they came in as usual. Every year they came to celebrate the Vaisakhi Day. And so, and the English government, Dyer, actually, General Dyer, he took extreme measures. He closed, out of the 6 gates, he opened only 2 gates. And there was the police all around on the fence in a semicircle. So people were trapped. Once, for 10 minutes, the rounds of firing started. There was no way. Many people died in the stampede, but people could not simply get out. I have visited that place, and I'm sure many of you have too. And these are very narrow, small openings, gates. And thousands of people, let alone 10 people, cannot go through at a time. And there were only 2 gates, exits. So many died in the stampede, but many died in the by the gunfire. So several rounds were fired for 10 minutes continuously. And many people, there is a well there. Many people jumped into that. And then some people from the police came down to the well and started firing in the well. So such was the horrific thing. And this is what Uddam Singh saw as a small volunteer, and many of the people who survived and saw that. This is what became the divergence that we cannot fight with simply words, demands, and begging for freedom. So this is the militant group revived again. It was very active before 1911. It became like, dithered a little bit, and then it revived again. To put more oil in the fire and arouse people's conscience came on the heel Mopla. Now, this is a small group of people. They are called Moplas in Malabar Hills in now Kerala. And some people decided in 1920 that Ottoman Empire is defeated and Khalifa is out of power. And it happened, Khalifa was in Turkey, and two Muslim brothers conveyed to Gandhi that we should fight for restoration of Khalifa. Now, Khalifa was in Arab countries and in Turkey. And here in India, these are Indian Muslims. They were never under Khalifa at all. They were under the British rule, nothing to do with the Khalifa. And they are fighting for restoration of Khalifa, that too in Malabar Hills. So Gandhi said, okay, if you are going to be non-violent, I'll allow. Congress party vehemently spoke against it. And Jinnah was absolutely nuts. He said, what are you doing? You are giving to Indian Muslims Arabian roots. Now, this is the crucial point when there is a clear-cut seeds of separatism are sown. The Muslims think they are the direct descendants of Muhammad, and Khalifa was their head. They were not under any empire or any king. And the whole thing snowballed in a very different way. This is where the divergence. So Jinnah opposed, Motilal Nehru opposed. All these people were bypassed because Gandhi said that freedom can wait, but Khalifa has to be restored. So this is this part I wanted to highlight, because what was the importance of freedom movement or complete independence in Mahatma Gandhi's agenda? Gandhi's agenda was Hindu-Muslim unity, and then his agenda was non-violence. Now the violence erupted in Mopla, and it continued for 3-4 days unabated. The British watched and did not interfere. Gandhi never visited, in spite of the fact that many people asked him to go. He did not visit. In fact, he justified the violence. First, he said, when a mighty oak tree falls, the earth shakes. And this was such a laughable thing that the tree fell down in Turkey and the shaking is happening in Malabar, which has nothing to do with anything. And then he said that, it is the religious sentiments which are hurt, and therefore people had to do like that. So this was a justification. Why I'm laying stress on that? Because in the rest of the book, and of course in the rest of the 100 years, this is exactly going to happen. First, he denied that it happened. There was no militancy. There was some ambush between the landlords and the tenants, and the landlords were Hindus, and the Muslims were being oppressed, something like that. So that silliness did not uh, gain any traction. So then he said that, yes, violence happens when people's sentiments are hurt. Okay. That did not wash. Then he justified with some other way that it had nothing to do with religion, but it was economic kind of struggle against oppressive landlords. So this went on and on for 3 days. His articles, numerous article statements came. He himself never visited the site. Annie Besant, she went there and she wrote a very nasty open letter to the Congress Party and to address to Gandhi. And that was a pretty nasty letter that what is going on, you should go and see. So many, 3,000 people are said to be, injured and killed. And then there was a talk with some Maulana Mahani, and that it was justified, and Gandhi said justified. When the British entered, on the fourth, fifth day, when the British entered, only because some Parsi ladies were disrobed, and the British staff was, including ladies, they were attacked. That is when the British entered and suppressed. When that happened, many of the Muslim culprits, they were taken in the, they say, cattle trains to different type of different places in the prisons. And Gandhi again vehemently opposed this action by the government. In fact, he said we should start a non-violent movement, satyagraha, against this barbaric treatment of the Muslims sent in windowless, airless train. And there's a whole lot of talk, letter exchange between the Maulanas and Gandhi, and then between Gandhi and the Congress Party and between Gandhi. These are so many details. I mean, one can write a book just on that. It was so much was spoken and nothing done. That is the crux of the whole thing. That all through the next 3 decades, so much was spoken and nothing concrete was done in any direction, in the direction of joining the nation together, the country together, welding them, different groups, ethnicities, or by way of freedom. So that is when the Ghadar party came again, and that without taking up the weapons, we cannot be winning. This is not a winning strategy. So in 1920 again, there was this. He assumes the leadership role in 1924, and his baggage was, he carried this baggage. Hindu-Muslim unity, non-violence, and selective use of non-violence. In other words, Hindus have to be non-violent, and the rest of the people, let's be fair to them, it is their religious sentiments. So this policy of appeasement of Muslims continued, and Gandhi himself, was responsible for sowing the seeds of this separatism and giving in to Muslims' demands, in spite of the fact that many intelligent Muslims themselves didn't want it. So in 1920, when the Nagpur session happened and Jinnah came on the stage to oppose all this, he was not even given the chance. Why? Because the moment he started, he said, Mr. Gandhi. And all the Congress members, they booed him and literally pulled him out of the stage because he called Mr. Gandhi and not Mahatma Gandhi. So he was so insulted. He said, this is not going to work. I cannot be working with the Congress party. He still was with the Congress party, but he was not, he was disenchanted. Then came this, he became the sole representative of Congress in any negotiation, in any decision at top level. So at that point, many people again, they were not militants. Motilal Nehru and Chittaranjan Das and many others, they made their own party, Swaraj Party. And somehow or other that fizzled out because Chittaranjan Das died and Motilal did not get much of following, even though his stand was that whatever the government gives in the next few years, British government, self-rule, limited self-rule, or Canadian type of dominion status, accept it. Let us accept it. So this was the general direction in which many of the Congress leaders, the ranks and file, wanted. The leader himself did not clarify what exactly was his priority, except HMU and nonviolence. And he did not clarify his strategy, except that it is going to be non-cooperation and fasting, and of course, nonviolence. So this laid down the foundation. These are now watershed moments during the 20s. A lot happened. So Jinnah was against Khilafat movement. He separated, moved away. Nagpur session, I already explained. Dissatisfaction in the party and Swaraj Party, yes, that happened. Militancy against the British atrocities, that started. That became that surfaced. And there were young youth from Punjab, from other places, Bengal, they joined. And then 1924, he became the sole representative. Now came Lahore bomb blast. And in that bomb blast, nobody was supposed to be killed. It was just supposed to be to give a warning to the British that if you don't stop the atrocities and if you don't stop suppressing our voice, then we can do this. And Bhagat Singh later explained that those who are deaf, sometimes they only hear the noise of the bullets. That was his reason to do that, not to kill anybody. However, the trial started and everything. Then came Simon Commission. The Simon Commission came simply to decide, to negotiate. What do you want? What can we give? Not a bad idea. And suddenly Gandhi decided that, no, we don't want Simon Commission. And he started boycotting that. At the same time, he said that let us do the protest against the Simon Commission. And now, retrospectively, or even at that time, one can see what was the point? Simon Commission came, the Sikh representatives attended, the Muslims attended, met them, not attended, sorry. And why the Congress party is boycotting? If they're boycotting, what is the need for procession? So when these non-violent processions, Simon Commission, go back. In that, there was lathi charge. And one of the person, they were British or brutal. And partly the reason of this brutality was that we are offering you one way, the other way. We want to listen to you. And you are boycotting and you are doing all this kind of nonsense. You are standing in the way of negotiation. In that lathi charge, there was Scott and Saunders. They were both there. Scott was the person who did the lathi charge. And so brutally, Lajpat Rai died. Within his own self, and Lala Lajpat Rai, along with Bipin Paul, and of course, at that time, Tilak, all of them, they were leaning towards militancy, that kind of thing. So Gandhi was, in a way, satisfied that the way things are, these militants, the violent group is out. And anytime there was violence, he decried Hindus. Why did they provoke the British, or why did they provoke the Muslims? It is their fault that it has happened. So these kind of, sometimes I feel it was kind of a drama going on. If I were not the participant, to me, it seems, what's the whole shenanigan about? So it was a jam-packed decade. It decided the line of action or the line of non-action, lack of action, and agenda, and lack of strategy for the next 20 years till transfer of power came. So now came the roundtable conference. Again, Gandhi said, we are not going to participate. We only want Puran Swaraj, which literally means complete independence. And this was a digression. And everybody was surprised. We never talked about that. We were talking about maximum self-rule and dominion status. Why this? Now, this made Gandhi feel a little put off and little let down. And anytime Gandhi felt that way, that his Mahatmaship is in danger or his stature is not as prominent anymore, he would divert. Suddenly he started salt satyagraha. What is the relevance of salt satyagraha? It was one of the minor things. British were raising taxes on everything, on the cotton, on the lagan, on the farmers. Everything was oppressive. Why this particular business of salt? Okay. Now, contrary to the popular belief promoted by the film Gandhi, there was no lathi charge. The march was peaceful. Gandhi walked, other people walked, went to the ocean, made some salt, came back. Nothing happened. The government used no violence, and they did not even stop them. Then Gandhi decided that this is not enough. We should march and go to the salt factory, and we are going to destroy the factory, or we are going to boycott the making of the salt there. At that point, the British knew that there's going to be some kind of violence, and nobody is going to listen to Gandhi, and there will be lathi charge or brutality, gunfire, because the government is not going to allow them to enter the factory. That was given of the situation. So these satyagrahis were asked that no matter what happened, even if the lathis are charged or the gunfire is going on, you are not even going to do this or this. So that march was brutal. Many people died, and they were just thrown in the ditches, and pretty gruesome. Gandhi himself was not there. He was not lathi charged because they knew that he needed to be protected. Otherwise, there will be massive ho-halla noise about Gandhi being lathi charged. So, contrary to the popular belief, Gandhi was arrested at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he did not participate. But he again reiterated that no matter what, you are going to be non-violent. So this salt satyagraha really went very badly. Again, this is where we are seeing that non-violence cannot work in a violent world. And in any meaningful dialogue, Gandhi did not have a clear direction how to go. He either avoided, walked out, or plainly boycotted. So, how he handled this is the test of nonviolence now. Jallianwala Bagh. Did he really go there? Of course, he condemned. Again, words. Did he go there? Did he do the soothing? Did he ask the government to give some compensation to the people? No, nothing of the sort. Mopla. I explained how this was the groundwork of the course of his response during the rest of his life and the rest of the life of Nehru and the rest of the dynasty. And even today, if nothing meaningful is happening, keep your stature high and get out of on the roads and block everything, disrupt life, just to make noise, speeches, noise, no concrete plan, agenda. So what were then the priorities for him? HM unity, independence. Jinnah's vision was that let the nation get dominion status and we will decide how we are going to split the ruling group, whether the Muslim person is going to be the prime minister alternately, whichever way. These are details to be worked out once we get dominion status, get the hang of administration, ruling, because for the last 1,000 years, these people were divided in small little kingdoms. They did not know how to rule a country. Even if there are kingdoms, still there is a country which is being ruled, and they had no experience. So he did different criteria to use non-violence. Sometimes he justified, sometimes not. So eventually by the 30s, Muslims became his like younger children. He was Bapu of everybody, and his posturing was paternalistic. like, chiding Hindus that, hey, your younger brothers. I don't understand how is the younger brother business coming. And they never thought that Hindus are their brothers. So he was, to me, unprincipled in its tacit indulgence of minorities. You see, and that prevails today, which might have widened the cleavage between the majority and the minority communities. The subsequent violence in the next 20 years was because of this chasm. And interestingly, the bullies were his brothers. He kept on saying, Jinnah, my brother. So he institutionalized minorities, and which continues today. And that is why his legacy part of the book is lengthier than his 20 years of being in India, 27 years that he was alive in India.
Kamlesh ma'am, if I may interrupt you just for a moment, since there's a large, first of all, thank you so much. This is Himanshu. There's a large audience here, close to 22 people. I wanted to raise it to everyone that if you have questions and comments, as ma'am completes her discourse, her initial explanation, we will take those questions. So request you to write in the chat so that we can, as moderators, we can facilitate those. We want it to be more interactive. Ma'am has great insights and knowledge. So with that, I just wanted to interrupt so that everyone can start butting in case there is any comment or question. So with that, back to you, ma'am. And before actually you begin, one thing which I wanted to, since a lot of it is captured in your book, and the audience is always, we all are looking forward to gain from your experience, your academic knowledge, and also the relevance of it. I do have one question. Why are we in here today? Why exactly are we studying Gandhi? What relevance does Gandhi offer today beyond the imprints in the Gandhi movie or the notes and whatnot? Does it bestow any lessons that we as Indians, wherever we are settled, need to learn from that period that Gandhi was on the scene? So with that one comment, back to you, and then we'll take more questions as well.
That is what I'm strictly, talking about. The framework is his legacy. And I am reiterating again and again that his philosophy laid down the foundation of what is happening in India today. We are exactly at the point in India at this particular moment as we were in 1946, when the Noakhali was happening, when Hindu processions were attacked, when Hindu temples were destroyed, when Hindus were attacked, when massacre was going on, and women were raped. All of that which is happening today by ethnic minorities, suppressing Hindus, it is connected with that. And that is why I'm talking about that. Even though Gandhi is dead, Gandhiism is not dead. Gandhiwad is being used as a weapon to destroy the heritage. And there are only 2 slides left, and I will give you a quote from Nehru, that the seeds, actually I should quote before that, those of you who have seen Mahabharata, there is a dialogue between Vidur and Bhisham Pitama, in which Bhisham Pitama says that the Durbhagya, bad luck, emerges from the deeds of the past. And this has been a really very important statement, that things don't happen overnight. What is happening in India for the past 50, 60, 70 years has not developed it over one day at the time of the transfer of power. It was, the preface was being laid down in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s. And that is where we are. So why it is important to dislodge and face the reality? Who killed the Hindu psyche? Why we are facing the same situation that we were facing in 1946? Why we are having the same communal dialogue and their rights and everything after we gave away almost 1/3 of India, disintegration? If disintegration was to solve a problem, then it hasn't solved. And why has it not solved? Because we are sticking to the policies which were proven wrong at that time, proven useless mockery of a movement. So he changed the verses of Ram, and this is how his connection to Hindu philosophies. He said that I am a Sanatani Hindu. He was not a Hindu, and I don't think he read even Bhagavad Gita clearly, because in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna doesn't tell Arjun, go back home because you are grieving. They are your brothers. They were their brothers. No, you fight for a cause, and fight has to be nasty. Anyway, he changed the verses of Ramdhun. He diluted Hindu Dharma. And this is important. Not many people know in 1929, at the time of Ram Navami, Gandhi simply wrote that I don't believe in Ram. I don't revere him, respect him. This is an open letter in complete works of Mahatma Gandhi in April. He said that. He said that he killed Bali by wrong means, and he did not have to kill Ravan and cause that bloodshed. There were non-violent ways. And a person who resorts to this kind of violence, he's not Bhagwan, he's not my guru. Then why are we talking about Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram? It is the same Ram, Raghupati Raghav, who killed Ravan. So that particular letter is really annoying. And if you get hold of, I think I reproduced that letter, the original, and please read that. And that is the reason you have to buy the book. I cannot reprint everything here. And for them, he used the term extremist. Bhagat Singh was an extremist. None of these people who were barristers, lawyers, they came to defend him. Even though, British thought that Gandhi would come and ask for leniency in the case of Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev and Azad. Nobody came to their rescue. In fact, the British got away with it, and they were surprised what kind of people they are. They are not standing with their own brethren. So was these extremists now? He lumped everybody in that. Guru Gobind Singh, Savarkar, Bhagat Singh, and everybody, Khudiram Bose, and a whole list of them, they were militant extremists. This is very annoying. These are the people who sacrificed their life. And what did Gandhi do? Did he suffer anything? No. Speeches, speeches, speeches. 92 volumes of speeches and articles. I looked at it and I was absolutely flabbergasted. What to read, what not. So he was continuously scolding Hindus and his flip-flops, that now he wants to participate in roundtable conference. Now he doesn't want. Now he is opposing the war, the British wars. Now he's asking them, we are not part of your violence. These flip-flops continued all through the subsequent decades and in that very decade. So Bhagat Singh's execution, this was so nasty a trick on Gandhi's part, which many people do not know. Bhagat Singh's execution was coincided with the Congress session, and people were coming from all over the country for the annual session. So Gandhi requested the executioners and the governor of Punjab that execution should be done a day earlier. Executions never happen in the morning after sunset. So the warden was surprised, the executioners were surprised. Why are we executing him during the night time? The order came late. And the next day, 8:30 was the time. Why we are killing him, executing him now, without telling his parents and his family? But anyway, that is another extremely unforgivable action of Gandhi. I don't know where his conscience was, that for the session, he let go of common humanity. So it has never happened again in the British rule, where the executions happened at night time. And this was singularly Gandhi's orchestration. So accepting Gandhi, the game plan of each player was almost clear. Jinnah knew what he was going to do, and he was hobnobbing with the British. British knew what they are going to give, if they are going to give. And common people said that whatever Gandhi says, you see, he started a cult. He was a cult leader where nobody can question. So important goal was, to me, it seems that he was maintaining his stature. His agenda on any given day depended on his obsession. How will it affect my Mahatma Shiva? So that is where I think I should end and stop here.
Thank you. First, again, thank you so much for walking through. We've received a question from Samir ji, who's on the call. And the question, I'll just summarize it, that what can be done to expedite the process of fading Gandhi? It is happening, but how do we expedite it?
Well, I'm looking for answers myself, by the way. And in the epilogue, the last 10 pages, I have mentioned the way out. And with great difficulty, I put down that one, the way out. What is the way out? You see, when something is under control, you have one snake, you can kill it for protection of your life, your family. But when the snakes are everywhere and they are out in the violence and they have been tempered as if every day is a Nag Panchami, and these snakes have to be offered prayers and milk. And this is what the government has been doing year after year, decade after decade. And Hindu revivalism, Nehru's first sentence when Somnath Mandir was to be, the groundbreaking ceremony was taking place, and Nehru said that we cannot build the temple. We will not allow the rebuilding of the temple. Why not? He said, because this is going to lead to Hindu revivalism. These are the exact words of Nehru. And now we are, after 100 years of bad policies and despicable decisions, we are figuring out where we lost the needles. So something can be retrieved, and we should. But most of it may not be retrieved because Hindu psyche is not yet aroused. 1 or 2 persons, like me, and I don't even matter in the scheme of life anymore. our blood may boil, and some other people. And they are intellectuals. But generally, people are happy that, hey, life is going on. India is making progress. India is making progress. But are we independent? Is a Hindu independent taking the procession, celebrating his or her heritage? If he's not, then the game is lost. We are checkmated. After the checkmate, I don't understand what are we asking for. However, the way out is that Hindus should unite, face the fact, what happened. What happened, why this is happening, who was responsible, and get rid of those factors. If you are talking to me in the beginning, Vande Mataram and Mahatma Gandhi ki jai, then you have not really opened your eyes. And you are 150 years, 115 years behind the correct time. So that is why the book is undaunting. I'm myself surprised why it has become such a lengthy, frightening book. But then every single page is about the actually what happened. You cannot dispute the evidence because this is based on his own speeches. How he handled the partition, that will be subsequent decades. So the next series will cover communal privileges and communalism and provincialism, the self-government which was granted, and the whole lot of Gandhi doing, sidelining everybody. Ambedkar, Savarkar, Madan Mohan Malviya, almost everybody who did not die earlier was sidelined. So this will be the next thing, and we'll go through the Second World War, the beginning, the Viceroy's role, his role. By 1935, he was irrelevant.
Ma'am, again,
irrelevant.
Sure. Ma'am, since there are questions coming in, so I again apologize for correcting. There is one comment which has come, and I believe it'll be good to see your feedback on it. The comment is about Modi and RSS, and the comment is, it is coming from Gayatri Ji, that they've become neo-Gandhians and neo-Ambedkarites, which is a bane for Bharat. How much do you agree or disagree with the current dispensation and the current ruling, whether it is BJP led by Modi or the organizational support from RSS?
Well, RSS, most Hindus, in the words of S.R. Goyal, he wrote a book, Hindus Under Siege, and he wrote several other books. His quote is interesting. And that quote is, Hindus, when they are in the presence of Muslims, and when the Muslims are able to say that Mahatma Gandhi said that all the religions are the same, and they come out of the prison and they say, we learned a lesson, all religions are the same. So that mindset is there, and Modi is no exception. That part I really admire him. That's something which was, we were in the deep down in the sewer, and he brought us on the surface. But then the domestic violence that is going on in Punjab and in Bengal, that could have been avoided if you had taken to the strategy of Indira Gandhi and Nehru. Nehru, every day there was any crisis or possibility of separatism, violence, he would declare president rule. 356 article is meant for that. If there is a Gunda Raj in a province, 356, the president rule. So right now, 4 states should be under president rule. And then if you are saying that we are not going to oppress our own brothers and sisters, then you don't know your enemies. You may know your allies outside. You may not know your enemies inside. And 10 years back, a very eye-opener book came, Breaking India. Rajiv Malhotra wrote that. And now he has again written after 10 years, 12 years, the second book, which is a sequel of that, Snakes in the Ganga. So we should read those. I read both of them, the synopsis of one, and the other one I read every single page. To me, unless the RSS changes the technology, if you are getting the name that you are militant, right, then why not be militant? You see, I have never seen a Hindu household having a gun or a kirpan or anything like danda even. In fact, if the child uses a danda outside or slap a buddy, he gets another slap from the home. Why did you do that? You see? So if the pelting stones is what they are doing, then the government is responsible to protect the citizens. Government is not responsible for protecting the minorities. In India right now, there are 2 things going on which are wrong in domestic policy. As an administrator, I would not succumb to those 2 silly kind of plans. One of them is the appeasing the bully. Why appease them? Law should not be 2 different things for 2 different groups. Law is the same. Universality of penal code is the same. So let us not dig holes. And second thing is, if we are declared as militant, Saffron Brigade, let's be Saffron Brigade then. You see, in Urdu, there is a saying which says, Bad se badnaam bura, which means evil deed is not as bad, but getting an evil name is really bad. Because if you are earning a bad name for no reason, then you earn it for a reason. Be militant. If they are saying you are extremist, then at least change your approach. I'm not saying everybody should be armed. I myself would not kill an ant unless absolutely necessary. But if violence is necessary, Rajya Dharam, diplomacy and Rajniti says, be violent, use violence. This is the only way you can, and Modi has not done that. Domestic peace.
Sure. Thank you.
RSS has no approach, by the way. RSS has, I haven't come clearly where RSS says this is our stand. Where is Hindu stand?
Sure. And I'm keeping a time check. We have about 2 minutes left for an hour session. So there are 2 comments or questions. One is a comment which may look simplistic, but may have broader repercussions. The comment is coming from Chopra ji saying that expedite the process of removal the Gandhism or Gandhi, remove him from Indian currency. So that is one comment or question. And the second one is there are some, and that would be the last for the day. There are some who argue that Gandhi had a role in curbing Ambedkar from making a separate nation for Dalits. So can you please comment? So these are the last 2 ones, please.
The first question is Gandhi's image on the currency.
That's right.
His laughing face laughs at us that even I'm dead, but I'm making fools of you people. And that should have been done long time back. That demonetization should have been gotten rid of Gandhi. But again, Modi has a special reverence for Gandhi. You see, I have really great difficulty swallowing that attitude. And second, that should have been done. I agree. And the second is, what was the question second?
Let me repeat the second question.
Ambedkar was one of the greatest patriots and clear-headed person. And please do not go by his one book, Partition. It is about partition or no partition. There is one book he wrote in the 30s. He was a Dalit, and he did despise caste system because he did not understand what caste was. And even today, Indians don't understand what caste is. So, and who started it? So he was against that. But he was never against bifurcating, trifurcating India. He was never in favor of minoritism. He never wanted Muslims in India. He was the person who wrote a long plan. Please read that plan, what Ambedkar said. He said, point one, there should be complete exchange of population. No Muslims here, no Hindus there. One. The second thing was, he said that there should be exchange of properties. As much as we lost there, they should give us. And as much as the Muslims lost, we give them. No extra benefit, 55 crores or 75 crores, or waters, Indus water treaty and stuff like that. No favors. You are not going to be living with India. You are getting Pakistan for the reason. What is your reason? That you cannot coexist. Then why are you remaining here? On the one hand, and Gandhi himself said that, if the brothers want to separate, who am I to say they should not separate? India is not his property. It is not his ancestral heritage. And we are not his children. That he is distributing the properties, dividing. And what kind of logic is that? That when one brother separates and goes away, he gets his right of property, his share of property, and then he says, you raise my children in India. You see, Ambedkar was very clear-headed. He made a list of atrocities in the 30s that the Muslims have done, and Gandhi has ignored. And he was clear-headed when the constitution was made. He said, this is not going to work. It does not have Hindu traditional base. This is modeled after some outgone ideas of British, so it won't work. So people have not read the sayings of Ambedkar. He resigned, by the way, as law minister when he was giving 370 to Kashmir. So we mistreated Ambedkar, we mistreated Savarkar, we mistreated Rajinder Prasad, we mistreated, what is his name, Vallabhbhai Patel. Literally killed them, killed their voice, killed them. So now it is for the younger generation to figure out completely what are we going to do. A, this, B, this. And if you want to skip the whole book, read the epilogue where I have laid down my plan. It may not be the younger generation's plan.
Sure. And thank you so much, ma'am. We are 3 minutes over our 1 hour slot, but for the awareness of the audience, this is a weekly session that we are hosting with ma'am. And the next one is due October 30th. We would look forward to and apologize for one question that has come in. We couldn't take it, but we will be taking that.
No, you can. I can take it if you. I have no problem with questions.
Yeah, but we have to maintain the sanctity of the time. Otherwise, this goes on. With that, I would request your availability next week, ma'am, and for all the participants. So we look forward to meeting again and hearing from ma'am. And also, we will, again, ma'am, if you don't mind, we will have, let's say, 30 minutes of your session or your description, and then we'll take questions. It seems that there are many questions which keep coming, and people have a lot of questions. All of us do. So we would rather like your thoughts on those questions, and I'm certain that the book will be read by all of us. So with that, thank you for your time today from all of us, and looking forward to speak with you next weekend.
Thank you very much. I'll stick to 30 minutes.